Hello, everybody out there in YouTube. Once again, it is the three middle-aged guys just bullshitting about nothing. I am the Reverend.
The theme here.
Gray Mouse 1.
And in this video, we are going to talk about a little bit of development with Marvel Studios and the MCU. As everybody knew, last week, actually, week previous to last week was Comic-Con. And then there was a lot of fallout following that, a lot of trailer reactions, a lot of announcements that were compiled on top of everything that came out in Comic-Con. And one of the more interesting announcements that was put out was that on Friday the 29th, they announced out that they were changing up plans, at least what they had scheduled for the initially announced or already announced next Avengers movie, Infinity War Part 1, which is set to come out, I believe, in 2018.
2018.
Yeah, 2018. And then, of course, Infinity War Part 2 is set to come out in 2019. I guess that's what the tentative release date was, which would supposedly cap off Marvel's Phase 3, all of Phase 3. So the announcement that they put out was that Avengers Infinity War is no longer a two-parter, that it was just going to be Avengers Infinity War as far as what's coming out for 2018. And then the next Avengers movie after that is a heretofore, currently untitled Avengers movie, but it's still slated for the same release date out in 2020, which a lot of people had mixed reactions to. We are some of those people, in which case we're just going to give our thoughts and our any sort of concerns that we might have. Gentlemen, the floor is open. Whatever thoughts you have, go ahead.
Well, this sucks. The thing about it is, okay, it's splitting into Infinity War in Part 1 and Part 2. That makes more sense because they're probably going to have to cram a lot into it. Because think about the heroes that they've already introduced. Everybody has to fucking be there.
Yeah, yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, and condense it to if it's going to be 2 hours or 2.5 hours, I don't think you're going to have the Avengers and Guardians and all of those people crammed into this movie. Yep. I mean, I can understand that Civil War was the test to see how many heroes that they can maintain on screen in a big battle and stuff like that. But the Infinity War, man, you've got to understand, it's not just the Avengers. No, because, like I said, the Guardians have to be there. And, fuck, man. And they're introducing more and more Avengers. Doctor Strange has got to take a part of it. Black Panther's got to be there. Spider-Man has to be there now. What are they going to do? Are they going to condense some of the story, or they're just taking out shit that doesn't make sense? It's just, I'm not worried about it. I just think that it sucks that it's not a Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah, I don't think
I think in my opinion that it would have been better. Yeah.
Well, I know it would definitely work that way. I don't think they're going to sit there and condense it, but that's a theory that I'll go ahead and I'll explain. What are your thoughts so far, Gray Mouse, on their particular announcement and everything?
I'm kind of on the same train of thought as the theme here. I think they have already had a couple of interviews since this announcement saying that that noticeably that since there's not a Part 2, that they're going to have to put everything in one movie, and that some characters are going to have bigger parts than others. That's just natural. That's just a natural order of things. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how they can wrap up, the Infinity War in one movie without it going into the Lord of the Ring span of length of movie where you have to go to the bathroom before the movie because we're sitting there for 3.5 hours. I'm just guessing, but 2.5 hours, that's a long.
You're not far off.
3. I mean, look at how King Kong was. Look how long that movie was.
King Kong was dry,
just long. So I don't know how they're going to, because they're going to have a threat, which we all know, Thanos. Thanos is going to have to collect the gems, put it on that damn glove, and wreak havoc, or the gauntlet. I'm sorry, I it's not a glove.
It's a glove. It's a power glove.
And they're gonna have to have all these heroes get it off of them, and I don't know how they're gonna do that in just an expanse of 2.5 hours. Although, since we do have a untitled Avengers movie after this, just a year later, I'm pretty sure some of what's going to happen in Infinity War is going to spill over. It has to. It just that because I mean I'm not a complete understanding on the comic book, but I know there was volumes and issues of the Infinity War. It lasted a long time in the comics, and for them to just condense all that into like a 2.5 hour to 3 hour movie, I don't see how they're going to do it. But I keep an open mind.
But wait, what if? Okay, you have the second Guardians. What if Thanos shows up there and starts gathering gems?
Well, I think what's up is that it's already become obvious that he's made efforts already to go ahead and bring the gems together.
Well,
he's just tracking them down.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the thing is, though, everybody who he sent to get the gems have failed him. Because at the end, he's like, "Fine, I'll do it myself."
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was just one of the secret scenes.
Yep.
Of Civil War, wasn't it? Or
that was freaking Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's been So I think, Theme, you're on the right track. I think maybe Doctor Strange is coming out before, right?
That's a good point. I was about to bring that up. Maybe as far as Doctor Strange, maybe at the end of the credits they show him finding one because there are
collecting two
introduced yet.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, he could already have those two, as far as we know.
And that is speed and time.
Yep. He could already have those.
By the time the Doctor Strange comes out and Black Panther comes out, maybe he'll probably already have them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But maybe they won't show how he got them.
Well, Doctor Strange is this year, right? He comes out this year?
November.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. All right. About the change of plans and everything. I am not surprised. Okay. Reason being is that the movie industry is unfortunately kind of like pro wrestling is something that you can't exactly make long-term plans for and expect to stick with them, 100% of the time. Because if that was the case, what's his name, Terrence Howard, would have been falling out of the sky instead of fucking Don Cheadle. Okay?
That was a big fucking career mistake.
Okay, all right, but
in my opinion.
But let's get back to Avengers and Infinity War. Now there are ways that they can handle this because I don't think. I think the one thing that a lot of people are worrying about is that they're like, okay, so they're just going to wrap it up in 2.5 hours. No, okay, because the thing about it is that if you watch all of the Marvel the MCU movies, everything that they've done from phase 1 all the way on up, this is one huge long continuity.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Even the Infinity War wasn't going to wrap everything up. They were going to have movies after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just too much source material to wrap up in one movie.
And the thing about it too is that people were like, so we go ahead and we have Captain America: Civil War. No, Captain America: Civil War was just a culmination of literally, if you're to get what's going on in Captain America: Civil War, watching the first 2 Captain Americas is not enough. Right. You literally have to watch first Captain America and then all of the movies from the first Avengers all the way through to sit there and understand the context of what's going on.
Well, you gotta watch from the first Iron Man.
Yeah.
You got to watch about 6 to 10 movies to understand what went on in Civil War.
But let me get back to my point. All right. Whenever there's a huge comic book event that happens, whether or not it's Marvel or it's DC, usually this is how they handle it.
Assholes?
What's up?
DC assholes?
Yes. All right. But this is how it's usually handled within the comic book industry, and in many ways, Marvel Marvel Studios has been able to go ahead and translate that particular market structure to their movies. Okay, is that they'll have a huge event comic. Okay, and they'll have a certain event comic running for like anywhere from 6 months, 6 issues to 12 issues, and then they'll have the effects or other comic issues in other series going ahead and showing, hey, this is what this person contributed to it. This is what this person was going on. The events always influence the other comic books surrounding it in the whole universe as it goes. So when they sit there, they do Infinity War. Infinity War, I'm pretty sure they're not going to be able to encapsulate it given 3.5 fucking hours. Okay, what's probably going to happen is that they're going to go ahead and they're going to cap it off. They're going to have one self-contained event, and then in the following movies, they're going to be able to go ahead and expand. Hey, this is how it affected everybody else, or this is how it really hasn't stopped at this movie. This is how. This is how Ant-Man deals with it. This is how Black Panther deals with it. This is how Captain Marvel deals with it. This is how
Captain Marvel comes out after the first Infinity War.
Yeah,
War
you know, I mean, because the other thing that we have to understand too is that as much as we love the cast members who have played the main characters and heroes of all the Avengers and everything, Robert Downey Jr. has a very expensive contract. I don't know how many movies he's set to go for. Same thing with Chris Evans. Same thing with Chris Hemsworth. Same thing with Mark Ruffalo. All right, and the truth of the matter is that none of those guys are going to stay as young as they are.
Okay.
All right, and the landscape as it is, as far as if you're just talking about contracts, is going to change, especially over the next few years. And they need enough wiggle room to go ahead and be able to reshuffle the deck so that they can find out, okay, if we don't have XYZ character or access to XYZ cast member, how are we going to make this work with what we fucking have? And the thing is that you sit there and you say, hey, we have Avengers Infinity War, and it's going to be 2 parts, hard lined. Then guess what? You're going to have to make sure that those people are set in stone, concrete, in line to go ahead and be there, because nothing is going to throw off fans, or nothing is going to sit there, and not even hardcore comic book fans, or nothing's going to throw off fans, especially casual fans who make up 90% of who spends the fucking money on these movies, more than having, hey, who the fuck is this other dude playing Iron Man, or who the fuck is this other dude playing Captain America? That's not fucking Chris Hemsworth. Who the fuck is that? If you go ahead and do the face swap mumbo jumbo, where it's no longer, and I know people won't get this fucking reference, it's no longer Bo and Luke Duke, it's their fucking cousins instead, people will fall out and they will not come back.
I can't believe you went there.
Am I wrong?
It's true. No, he's not. I mean, okay.
But, one thing, too, is Mr. Motherfucker. Huh?
That's not Tobey Maguire.
Mr. Motherfucker is not going to be there, I don't think, for much longer. I think his contract with Marvel or whatever cinematic universe is running out. Yeah. Because, I don't know, it seems like his roles kind of gotten smaller and smaller after that.
That was the way because S.H.I.E.L.D. is over, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and I understand that. So you could just assume that's going to happen to the others as well, is a point that I'm making.
Robert Downey Jr. has been in 7 of these movies. One of them, he was after the credits.
Yeah.
And that was The Incredible Hulk. Yep. Otherwise, he's been in Iron Man's 1, 2, and 3, 2 Avengers movies, and Civil War.
Yep. And he's going to have a place in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Now, whether that carries through to the other members of the Avengers, though, is something that can be debated. Whether or not their casting carries the same sort of weight.
The thing is, though, the beauty of the Avengers, I'm talking about as a whole, is that they never really stayed the same Avengers all the time. If you look at through the comic books, yeah, there were the initial ones. Then they changed them. Then they changed different superheroes. So I'm assuming that's what
people leave.
Correct. Some come, some leave, some come back. It's just the way it is. And I think that's what Marvel is setting up after what you said, Reverend. It makes perfect sense that, Thor won't be an Avenger forever. Hulk won't be an Avenger forever. I mean, they already kind of a little bit changed the guard at the end of Avengers 2, Age of Ultron.
But we don't need a JV team of the Avengers.
No, I don't think it's going to be like that, though.
Well, they set that up at the end of Avengers 2 when the big leagues went away, and then they were assembling the smaller league.
Yeah.
And it's a damn shame that certain people won't even be an option.
Well, I think what's his name? War Machine. He's recovering after his accident, or the accident.
No, I'm talking about certain people won't be an option as far as Fantastic Four, X-Men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that to consider about the Infinity War storyline is that Silver Surfer played a huge role in fucking the Infinity War storyline. He's not available.
Mm-hmm.
The X-Men, they had a contributing role. They're not available.
Right.
And that's kind of one of those things that you have to sit there and think about when you go ahead and try to translate whether or not they're going to do a faithful or serviceable adaptation from the main story or the comic book story over to the big screen. They did pretty well with Civil War, but the only reason why Civil War worked, and what a lot of people fail to fucking realize, or a lot of critics of that movie fail to realize, is that the only reason why that worked is because there was the whole 10 fucking movies before it that set it up.
That built it up. Yes, it did.
I agree. If somebody actually just came into the Civil War movie, just right off the cuff type thing,
they
wouldn't have no idea. Especially a lot of the lines of the movie actually reference previous movies. So, and storyline, you would be lost.
Yeah.
Marvel Cinematic Universe has been around for what, 10 years now, right? I think.
Just about, because the first Iron Man came out in 2007, I think.
So almost 10 years. So it's taken Marvel Cinematic Universe that long to culminate.
Well, they took their time with that.
Huh?
They took their time with that.
Yeah, to culminate into what we have as the Infinity Wars. But I think it's fair to say, there are some reserve about they condensing this into one movie. But then you got to look at the other side, like you guys were saying, that it's going to spill out into the other movies, the ramifications of what happened during this movie, because it's going to affect each of the heroes a different way.
Yeah,
so
it's going to have to, and I understand, because when I heard the news that they're just going to change it to a single movie and then an untitled Avengers movie for 2020. I was pretty concerned. But generally speaking, the one thing that I can count on, at least so far, because the original Iron Man came out in 2008, so it's almost been 10 years that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been building itself and running itself. The one thing that I can count on when it comes to Marvel movies and everything that they've offered so far out of Marvel Studios is that they have a long-term goal in mind.
Yeah.
They are planning on what to do next. Okay.
Absolutely brilliant.
There's no doubt in my mind that it wasn't from conception that they were thinking 10, 15 years ahead. They had to have been.
Yeah. And the reason why it works is that they have their central think tank who handles that in comparison to their esteemed competition, the distinguished one competition, which unfortunately seems to, hopefully they're getting a grasp on that, but that's a different subject altogether, really.
Well,
So, do you guys actually think that? I mean, should we doubt Marvel at all? Should we doubt Marvel Studios at all that they're doing this?
They have a really good track record. Okay.
But that was the point that I was making.
Yeah, I think the more
even the certain heroes that they put in.
Yeah, I think
we're supposed to be all that big.
Yeah, I think the more appropriate question is, you know, do we have any reason not to put our faith in Marvel, not to handle this in a serviceable way?
One thing too is what people are forgetting is that Marvel squeezed in some of these characters that are very off color and got away with it. I'm talking about, like, you know, the Galaxy. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, come on.
They didn't squeeze them in. Let me just be honest right here. The really.
I mean, you squeeze.
No.
That, you know what I meant.
The real incredible thing that a lot of people don't realize about the Marvel Studios and their work so far is that, okay, before Iron Man came out, okay, and before the Avengers came out, those were actually titles that they were considering on fucking canceling over the last 5 years in the comic book run, okay? Guardians of the Galaxy.
There was even a rumor that Iron Man wasn't going to fly.
Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy wasn't even a popular series when it was out in regular circulation back in the late 70s, early 80s, okay? Yeah. Look, all of their rock stars are licensed to other fucking people, okay? So what they had to make do with is literally their B tier and garbage characters. And now their garbage characters are rock stars.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Better than the Fantastic Four.
Better than the X-Men. You know?
So Spider-Man made the right decision to have his homecoming.
Yep.
I mean, it really, if you really look at it with I hate to say this, if you look at it or say it with a broad brush, Marvel knew what the fuck they were doing from day one.
Well, from Iron Man, they just said at the ending, after the credits of Iron Man, that was it. That basically just was like, hey, when Mr. Motherfucker Samuel L. Jackson walked out, Nick Fury, motherfuckers was like, holy shit. And that was it.
Yep. And what's cool, too, is there was an article as well on the internet here recently, once this started going in, was that on how important it is to watch the television television of, the Agent
Shield, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know. Because it was supposed to lead into the Inhumans.
Yeah.
Well, I think what we had this conversation about the Inhumans before.
Yes.
The plans for that got pushed back, and I think what's happening right now is Marvel Studios is finding out that they're dealing with a changing landscape and they have to adapt. Mm-hmm. Now, let me just say this right now: if before 2020, if over the next few years, Marvel is able to get more of its licenses back.
Okay.
Whatever they culminate with for the next fucking Avengers is going to be a lot bigger than what you would have imagined that just Infinity War Part 2 would have been.
That would be crazy if they get X-Men and or Fantastic Four back. That would be amazing. If that happened.
It would be great to get Spider-Man back. I mean,
Spider-Man is
officially back.
True.
Mm.
But at least
right now it's just lit.
This is going to be Spider-Man is going to be his second movie within Marvel Studios.
Yeah,
he was in Civil War, now he has his homecoming.
And the Civil War Spider-Man, that was the Spider-Man I grew up.
Here's the thing: Homecoming. There's no way that people are not going to go see that movie. Yeah. That's an instant gold mine right there. That's taken care of.
Yep.
And like I was saying, I mean, the Spider-Man in Civil War. That was the Spider-Man I remember, a quirky little bratty teenage kid that think he knows about.
That's awesome, dude.
You know what I mean? And that's the Spider-Man that I know and love. But I have no doubts that Marvel knows what it's doing.
Wow.
And for my last closing thoughts, I'm kind of wondering if you guys would binge watch all these movies up until this point, or when Marvel finally closes this chapter. And
I'm not spending 24 hours. I will not spend 24 hours doing that.
I'm not saying at one time, man.
Well, I keep going in order and watching these movies again. I've already done that. But I will not sit in one place for 24 hours and with all the fucking coffee and the real golds and all of that to stay awake to see that. I'm not going to do that, because then next thing you know, I'll be, reciting lines word for word, and no one wants to hear me doing that shit. So fuck that.
We do that in the Spaceballs.
Yeah.
But that's Spaceballs. That was one movie
so
beneath 2 hours.
Yeah.
And look, Spaceballs is a fucking classic, but I would not do the Marvel movies in succession like that.
I think that's something that we'd have to save for that's something you'd have to save for like a weekend.
Right there.
Yeah, or a week. So
yeah.
All right. With that in mind, I think we've come to a consensus. It sucks as far as the anticipation that we had for the original plans. It's not going to fucking happen. But if we keep in mind and consider everything that is on the horizon and all the things that factor into creating a huge Hollywood production the size of Infinity War and everything.
But look at the things that they took out and look at what they put in. We don't have the Inhumans, but we have Spider-Man: Homecoming. They put in Ant-Man and Wasp. They took out the second Avengers Infinity War movie, but look at what they're taking out and look at what they're throwing in to compensate.
Yeah.
They're throwing in more characters to actually be involved with the story, to be involved with the universe, to be involved with the fucking Infinity War, to be involved with everything that's going on. And that, I think that's the best part about it. It's like, okay, we're going to take this away, but we have plans for this. But here, we're going to add shit in order to make this more worthwhile.
Yeah, and the truth of the matter is, by the time 2020 rolls around, there are going to be a lot more superheroes on screen.
I agree. And the beauty thing about everything, too, is we don't even know what this new movie is. It's just untitled Avengers movie.
Right.
So, like you said, they've taken out, but they put things in there that completely compensate for what they took it out and made it better.
I mean, come on. Who isn't, out of any of this group, anyone that's like, no, I don't want to go see that Marvel movie now, that anything by Marvel Studios?
No.
I mean, Captain Marvel, sign me up. Black Panthers, sign me up. Guardians 2. I mean, we're going to go to the theater and see those movies. It's just inevitable. It's written and it shall be done. So as far as Marvel fucking up, that's not even in the mind. Disappointed, yes, but patient.
Yes.
And just like, hey, they've done this much of a great job. It's up to them to go down, but I don't think that's going to fucking happen.
Yep.
They just gave us some shit that we didn't think that was going to be so big.
Yep. All right. And with that, thank you very much so far, everybody. Like I say at the end of every video, thank you for sticking with us up until this point. If you're so kind, hit the like button, hit subscribe, leave a comment below, especially if you think you have something to contribute to the conversation. We encourage that. We are the three middle-aged guys just bullshitting about nothing, and we're going to end our discussion about Avengers Infinity War Part 1. Now just Infinity War. I'm the Reverend.
The theme here?
Grey Mouse 1.
Yes. Movies. Marvel movies. Comic book movies. Good movies. DC, take notes. Even they're canceling movies, they're still better than you. Credits.
How are they going to get the glove off? A lot of lube and a lot of tugging. The movie's just going to be one big hand job.
My opinion, each and every one of those gems are going to end up on somebody somehow.
I said, movies are going to be one big hand job.
Who does a better hand job? Is that what you said?